wrongly arrested until one witness changed everything. They dragged him away in handcuffs, in front of everyone. They thought they had won. But one witness, one voice, changed everything. Daniel Carter wasn't the type of man who drew attention. He worked hard, stayed quiet, and always respected the rules. A black professional in his early 40s, Daniel carried himself with calm dignity, even when others tried to belittle him. That morning, the sleek marble lobby of the Regency Grand Hotel was buzzing with guests, business leaders, politicians, foreign investors. Daniel had only come to drop off documents for a client meeting. He never expected to become the center of a scandal. On the other side of the room stood Officer Lanning, a white police officer with a chip on his shoulder. Lanning thrived on control, and when he locked eyes on Daniel, his suspicion wasn't about evidence. It was about skin color. Beside him, Officer Ruiz, younger, more thoughtful, seemed uneasy, but followed protocol. And watching from the mezzanine above, a cluster of executives whispered, their smirks barely hidden. Something about Daniel being singled out gave them satisfaction. The trap was set. It started with a single accusation. A wealthy female guest pointed at Daniel and shouted, "That's him! He stole my bracelet!" Gasps spread through the lobby. Daniel froze, shocked. He had never seen the woman before in his life. Officer Lanning moved fast. He didn't ask questions. He didn't investigate. He grabbed Daniel by the arm and shoved him against the marble pillar. "Empty your pockets," Lanning barked. Daniel tried to stay calm. "Officer, there's been a mistake. I'm here on business. Please, check my ID." But Lanning wasn't listening. He wanted a spectacle. Within minutes, Daniel was in handcuffs, humiliated, surrounded by a crowd whispering and recording on their phones. And the so-called missing bracelet hadn't even been found. Daniel's quiet dignity made it worse. He didn't resist, didn't fight back. He simply said, "You're wrong," and that made his silence more powerful than any protest. Just as Lanning began marching him toward the exit, a voice cut through the tension. "Wait!" The lobby fell silent. A young receptionist stepped forward. Evelyn Price, mid-20s, sharp eyes, headset still dangling from her ear. She had been at her desk the entire time, and she had seen everything. "I reviewed the security footage," she said firmly, "and it shows exactly where the bracelet went." Lanning stiffened. "Stay out of this. It's police business." But Evelyn didn't back down. She raised her voice so everyone could hear. "The footage shows the guest leaving the bracelet at the bar. And when she realized, she panicked. She needed someone to blame. Someone she thought nobody would believe." All eyes turned to the woman who had accused Daniel. Her face went pale. Lanning's grip on Daniel's arm loosened. For the first time, doubt flickered across his hardened features. The manager rushed in, confirming Evelyn's statement. Security produced the bracelet from behind the bar, right where the receptionist said it was. The crowd erupted, whispers of shame toward the accuser, murmurs of respect toward Daniel. Daniel was released from the cuffs. His wrists were red, but his voice remained steady. "I told you," he said quietly. The female guest stormed out, humiliated. Lanning muttered something under his breath, avoiding Daniel's eyes. Officer Ruiz, however, gave a subtle nod of acknowledgement, as if to say he knew this wasn't right all along. Evelyn stood tall, no longer just a receptionist, but the witness who had changed everything. The crowd saw Daniel differently now, not as a suspect, but as a man of dignity who had endured humiliation with grace. It seemed like justice had been served, but Daniel felt a gnawing truth in his chest. This wasn't an accident. He hadn't just been unlucky. Someone wanted him silenced, someone powerful, and that someone was still in the shadows. Later that evening, Daniel sat in the hotel cafe, quietly drinking coffee. Evelyn joined him, her face still lit with fire. "You know this wasn't random," she said. Daniel nodded. "I felt it too. That woman didn't even know me. Someone put her up to it." That's when Evelyn leaned closer, lowering her voice. "I checked more than just the lobby footage. There's something you need to see." On her tablet, she pulled up a video feed. It showed the female guest meeting earlier in the day in the parking garage, with Richard Cole, a powerful corporate executive. Daniel's blood ran cold. Cole wasn't just any executive. He was a man Daniel had been investigating quietly for months, exposing corruption in contracts that exploited minority-owned businesses. And now it made sense. Cole had orchestrated the false accusation to destroy Daniel's credibility. The lobby scene was never about a bracelet. It was about power. As Evelyn played the footage, she whispered, "Cole's not working alone. Someone inside the police wanted this to happen." Lanning didn't hesitate because he knew exactly what he was doing. Daniel clenched his fists. The humiliation of the arrest still burned, but now it had a name. A face. A system. "Then we're not fighting one woman's lie," he said. "We're fighting a network." As they spoke, a shadow lingered just outside the cafe window. A man in a dark suit, face obscured, speaking softly into a phone. His words were chilling. "They know too much. We'll handle them. Tonight." Daniel didn't see him. Evelyn didn't hear him. But the audience knew. This wasn't over. The puppet master had revealed himself. And now, Daniel and Evelyn were walking straight into a trap. Some truths set you free. Others put a target on your back. For Daniel and Evelyn, their search for justice was about to lead them into the lion's den. The morning after the hearing, Daniel Carter sat in Evelyn Price's office, the weight of freedom still new on his shoulders. His hands rested on the polished wood of her desk, scarred from years of labor yet steady, defiant. Evelyn slid a folder across to him. Inside were names, dates, and signatures all linked to his arrest. Each page whispered of betrayal. "You weren't just a man in the wrong place at the wrong time," Evelyn said quietly. "You were chosen. Someone wanted you silenced." Daniel leaned back, his jaw tightening. "Because of the contract?" Evelyn nodded. "That energy deal you testified against? It wasn't just corporate politics. It was a doorway into something bigger. Someone powerful wanted you erased." And in that moment, Daniel realized his fight wasn't over. It had only just begun. Over the next week, Evelyn and Daniel worked in silence and shadows. Evelyn's office became their war room. Papers spread across the table, a corkboard with photos and strings connecting names. At the center, Richard Cole, the wealthy magnate, polished smile masking ruthless ambition. But he wasn't acting alone. Every thread Evelyn pulled revealed another knot. Police officers on his payroll, board members in his pocket, politicians signing off on deals that stank of corruption. Daniel tapped a picture of Officer Lanning, the cop who had humiliated him. This man was just muscle. Someone told him to act. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "And if we follow the chain long enough, we'll find the hand that pulls the strings." They were no longer searching for vindication. They were hunting the network. The first warning came as silence. Daniel returned to his modest apartment one evening to find the lock forced, his drawers overturned, and his old photo of Emily, his late wife, shattered on the floor. No money was taken, no valuables, just a message. "Stop digging." He called Evelyn immediately. "They know we're looking," he said, his voice low. Evelyn was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Good, that means we're close." But the second warning was louder. As Daniel walked home the next night, a black SUV slowed beside him. The window rolled down. A man he'd never seen before leaned out. "You're in over your head, Carter. Walk away, before you end up back in a cell. Or worse." The SUV sped off, leaving Daniel with the chill of reality. His freedom was fragile. Despite the threats, Evelyn pushed forward. She uncovered records of secret meetings. Cole had hosted private gatherings in his penthouse. Officers, politicians, and corporate giants all in attendance. "It's a syndicate," Evelyn whispered, scanning the files. "An entire machine built on bribes, intimidation, and lies. They don't just bend the law, they own it." Daniel clenched his fists. "No wonder they wanted me out of the way." Then came the discovery that shook them both. A witness. a hotel clerk who had seen Lanning plant the false evidence in Daniel's bag the night of his arrest. The same young receptionist who had looked at Daniel with sympathy that night. Her name, Alicia. If she speaks up, Evelyn said, we don't just clear your name, we expose everything. But that also made Alicia a target. When Evelyn tried to reach Alicia, she didn't answer her phone. Daniel and Evelyn rushed to her apartment, only to find the door ajar, the lights off. Inside, the room was ransacked, but there was no sign of her. On the floor lay her headset from the hotel reception desk, cracked in half. Daniel's chest tightened. They've already found her. But Evelyn spotted something else. A folded piece of paper tucked beneath a lamp. It was a note hurriedly scribbled. If anything happens to me, look at Cole's Foundation. That's where the money flows. Evelyn tucked the note into her pocket, her jaw set. She knew she was in danger. She left us the trail. Daniel looked around the darkened apartment, the silence heavy with dread. They'll come after us next. 2 nights later, Evelyn arranged a meeting with a journalist she trusted, someone brave enough to publish the story. They agreed to meet in an underground parking garage, away from prying eyes. But when Daniel and Evelyn arrived, the journalist was nowhere to be seen. Instead, headlights flared in the darkness. The same black SUV rolled forward. Doors opened. Men stepped out, dressed in black, faces cold. Daniel and Evelyn exchanged a glance. They were trapped. A tall man in a leather jacket approached, the same one who had threatened Daniel before. But this time, he held something in his hand. A note. He slipped it discreetly into Daniel's pocket before whispering, "Not all of us are with them." Then, as quickly as he came, he turned back and barked to the others. "They're clean. Let them go." The men retreated, the SUV pulling away. Daniel's heart pounded as he pulled out the folded note. 3 words were scrawled across it. "Trust no one." Back in Evelyn's office, they examined the note. It wasn't just a warning. It was also a clue. Inside was a list of shell companies, all funneling money into Cole's Foundation. But one signature stood out. It wasn't Cole's. It belonged to someone higher. Someone with the power to move politicians, police, and corporations like pieces on a chessboard. The name was smudged, barely legible, but enough to make Evelyn's blood run cold. She leaned back, whispering, "This isn't just Cole. He's only a face. There's someone else. A puppet master." Daniel stared at her, his chest tightening. "And if we go after them?" Her eyes met his. "They won't just try to silence us. They'll come to destroy us." That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He sat at his window, watching the city lights flicker in the distance, wondering how deep the corruption ran. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. It read, "You're getting too close. The girl isn't gone. But if you want her alive, stop now." Daniel's blood ran cold. He bolted upright, staring into the darkness. Alicia was alive, but she was bait, and somewhere in the shadows, the puppet master was watching.